This is,
This meeting is being recorded.
you can hear it on everyone's computer. Yeah, perfect. Okay, good. So I'm going to get started. Thank you guys so much for jumping on here. And I'm really excited to connect with you. That's actually my favorite part. But before then, I want to give you a chance to kind of dive into the reason that you came, which is making meal planning easier for yourselves and your lives and your kids and your family and everything else. So, with your paper and pencil, let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. I don't think it's connected to Facebook, which is actually totally okay. So let's do this. If they're not with us, then they can catch us later. And then I'm going to pause a couple times throughout so that we can chat through. But I think I know everyone here from some point or another. So thank you guys so much. I know that your time is so valuable and precious. And so I'm going to share my screen and we get started. There we go. Can you guys see that? Yeah. Okay, good. And then I'll just mute it in case anyone's. Okay, good. Yay. So welcome. So like I said, I'm Allie. Let's dive into meal planning made easy because ultimately we're all here to make meal planning and dinner easier. And this is something that comes every single night. And it's one of those things that can just like absolutely derail you as a mom and as a person, and especially with like your health goals. So if you are feeling like you have no time, if you're feeling like you're cooking like a million different things and trying to feed yourself one way and then your kids differently and everyone has different goals, then you're in the right place. If you're feeling like you're sick of the same foods, you're kind of in a rut, you're eating over and over and over again, then you're in the right place. So what I want for this workshop is I want you to leave with an actual plan that you can use. And it's not like in theory. So everything that I do and with all my clients and with all the coaching that I do, I don't want it to just be in theory, like in a perfect world. I want it to be something that you can actually use and you can kind of change things around and you can make it yours and you can make it specifically work for you. So that's what we're going to create. So hopefully you have your paper and pen. I do have this all written out as a PDF, but I feel like it's kind of distracting. So I think it's easier to just go with paper and pencil because then you can think instead of like reading and interpreting the question. But I will email that to you after if you just kind of end up with scratching, notes on your papers right now, and then you take them home and like turn it into the actual meal plan. So let's do it. I also want to give you tons of different ideas, but I think that there's so often we can be overwhelmed with ideas because we're getting them from Instagram, we're getting them from Pinterest, we're getting them from someone else's feed. And so before we get to the ideas, I want to kind of have you really tune in to who you are, what your own personal goals are, and like what dinner looks like in your house. And then we'll go to ideas. Because with more ideas, that doesn't necessarily mean like execution, or it doesn't actually end up being something that you can apply if you haven't kind of thought through some of the other things. And that's really what I found with myself. And then with so many people, it's like you can have books and books and books or all these pins on Pinterest, but they don't result into an easy dinner if you haven't kind of figured out all the other pieces. So let's do that. So the things that make dinner so much harder than you think are more and more ideas, like I was just talking about, are the overthinking, are the perfectionism. Like you see it a certain way, you see it going a certain way, you see your week going a certain way, you see your actual meal going a certain way, you see the whole thing differently. And then you're trying to make it so perfect that it like actually doesn't even turn out good. So has that ever happened? Like it's like you're almost like, yeah, you have this like beautiful plan. And then if that doesn't work, then you have nothing, right? And so it's like we want to try to figure out that in between, and we want to try to figure out that I want to make sure that I'm not trying to jump out. We want to try that figure out that in between, and that's what is oftentimes keeping us really stuck. So I think it's just important to kind of notice that the perfectionism, the overthinking, the comparison, the asking like what someone else is doing, it's always good to get ideas, but then it's like if we think that that should be working for us and it's not working, then that is frustrating and that kind of causes us to be even more stuck in that dinner rut. And then of course just not planning because we're just like forget it, this doesn't work anyways. That doesn't help us at all. So these are all kind of things that I have seen with myself, with different clients, and like I know I touched base with a lot of you guys on what is going on now. So if that's the case, then you again are in the right place, right? So one thing that's going to make this easier is changing your whole energy and your whole like belief around dinner because it comes every single night. And so the more like you fight it and the more you think like it has to be a certain way and the more you have all these expectations and the more you feel like, oh my gosh, I just suck at cooking or I suck at getting dinner on the table or I can't do it or it's not possible for me, then the more that becomes true because whatever you believe is true, right? So anything you believe is always going to be proved true by your actions, by your thoughts, and these are all subconscious, but they're always working against us. So what I want you to do right now is just try to change your belief about dinner. Like this gets to be easy. This gets to be easier. This gets to be fun. And like, what new belief do you want to take on about meal planning? Because in the past, it's probably been such a chore. It's probably the idea like, oh, this just doesn't work. All of these type of things. So I want you to take like an affirmation or an idea or a new belief that you can actually hold that seems reasonable. Not like, oh, I love this so much. That might not be reasonable, but it might be reasonable to think like, this is possible. I can actually do this. I can like, I'm successful at this, or this isn't such a big idea or big deal. Like I'm creating more drama in my mind than this actually is, right? I just need to like simplify it and I can do it. So thinking about something like that and just taking a second to write down like, what is your new belief that you want to have about meal planning? And I'm going to have you share if you're interested in what that is for you. Cause I think everyone has almost like a different obstacle. So feel free to unmute and just share if you are interested or willing in like what you want your new belief about meal planning to be. Heather, did you want to share?
Sure. I don't want it to be a chore. And in order for me to not have it be a chore and a disaster, I have to plan like a whole week out.
Okay. Yes.
And things happen during the week. Like people have different things where they need to be. So I just don't want it. I just want it to be easier. Like, I don't know. I need to plan it.
Totally.
I just need to make a plan and I like to do it ahead of time. And sometimes that doesn't happen. And then that's where it goes awry.
Yes. I love that. I think that could be like two things. One, dinner can be easier, like easier than you're making it now. And two, planning it is a priority. And that's totally something. It's like, we think that I just have to meal plan. But if you actually took the 20 minutes and like kind of guarded it, like you do a workout and we're like, I'm going to do this
Right.
little 20-minute list and it's going to have that much priority because I know that it sets my week apart and like sets it on the right track so much. So yeah, I love those. Those are both so good. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Does anyone else want to share?
Yeah, I think along with that is just simplifying it. I think like I get overzealous with the menu, like, and then I'm like buying all these items that I don't normally cook with or eat or prepare. And then I'm just way too overwhelmed and I give up.
Yes. I love that. Like it can be simple and successful. Like simple can be successful. Yes. That's so true because that's like the all or nothing mentality, right? If it isn't like perfect, then it just kind of crumbles and like isn't there. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So good. So simple, easy, and priority, I think is huge. Anybody else want to share?
I said I can get a quick, healthy dinner on the table, even on the crazy nights.
Yes. I love that. Yeah. So that's so huge. And like, even the affirmation of it, and then the simplifying too, just like that it's possible for you, because sometimes you probably think like, there's no way I can get dinner. Like I have to be here and here, and I have this late meeting and I have this game in practice and, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So even holding the idea, like it's possible to get a healthy, simple dinner on the table is huge. Yeah. Cause the words are like, oh my gosh, you can't do it tonight. It's just not possible. Right. Awesome. Yay. Anybody else? We'll keep going. Okay. So I want you to think about how dinner works for you right now. And I like this quote. If you wait long enough, then everyone will just eat cereal. Just totally true at my house. That's definitely the case. So it's like, you almost have to be so on guard when your kids are like able to do their own thing, because they'll just help themselves if they want, which is fine. Some days you're like, good, just get some cereal. But other days you're like, okay. So think for a second about what is going on with your dinner and just jot down a couple notes. Like I want you to think, of course, the things that are going to come to mind are what's not going well, but I want you to think for a second about what is going well about your dinner routine at home, because if something is going well, we want to repeat it. And like part of my whole philosophy with everything I do with coaching women is like, we are so conditioned to look for what's going wrong that we don't look for what's going right. And then we're constantly like trying to do more when if we pause for a second and was like, oh, these things actually are going well, but then these other things are not. So we're always like seeing the things that are not going well. So just take a second, write down, leaving like a plus or a minus on your page and be like, okay, this is not really going well. This is something I need to change, kind of the things that we just talked about, or this is going well. Like, I don't need to, if it's not broken, you don't need to fix it, right? So pause for 1 second and do that. I don't know how to use Spotify when I have this on present mode. Normally like a little music in the workshop. Maybe I can do my phone. Awesome. Does anyone want to share this list?
I'll share.
Okay, yay. Hi, Tina.
So right now my family, we're pretty good. Like we'll do a meal plan and we try to get the kids involved in it. And we always have a day or so in there where we do leftovers, which is so nice. And then there's sometimes a couple days worth of leftovers. So they can like choose, like, I didn't really like that one, so I can eat this one. And so I feel like that's a good thing because with the leftovers, there's less planning, right? So,
Right.
you know, Monday, Tuesday dinner become a combo of Wednesday's leftovers. So that's a good thing. The issue that I have sometimes is those leftovers start to get really boring, especially if like you're repeating spaghetti leftovers every week because you have some form of spaghetti every week. And then also with the leftovers, like with 5 people, so we make a big thing of broccoli and we eat it on Monday. And so when you go for the leftovers, the vegetables are gone.
Yeah.
So then it's like a little bit random. So
Yeah.
just kind of tying it in would be such a good skill for me, how to like creatively or allow myself to be like, it's okay, we're just having green beans today randomly, or
Yeah. Okay. I love that. That's so true. Because leftovers, yes, leftovers are like a whole thing too, right? So the fact that they work for your family and they're part of the meal plan is amazing. I love that. That's huge to keep going with, but that makes total sense too. Yeah. And like you said, if you're eating then on Thursday of every week, the exact same foods, because you kind of have like the same things going on or part of it, then it's like, right?
right, I get tired of it.
Yeah. So true. Okay. Awesome. Good. Does anyone else want to share?
I'll go ahead, Allie. It's Heather.
Yeah.
Trina, I do the same thing. Like I'll plan like 3 good meals during the week. This is what's going well. And then the extra, whatever's left for the rest of the week is either takeout or leftovers. But
Right.
you're right. The vegetables are gone. And then I try to pull out like a freezer vegetable or something, but that's kind of what works at our house. Like I try to plan 3 good meals and then whatever's left is left.
Yeah.
Right.
Does 3 meals work for you or do you need more? Is that what you're kind of?
I don't know. It depends. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
that's about all my effort. I feel like I have some weeks is like 3.
That's all I can do.
I mean, honestly, that's like the next question is like, I mean, exactly that. It's okay. You are the queen of your house and what do you want? Right? Like how
Right.
much do you want to cook? Do you like to cook? Do you have time to cook? Like all of this totally matters in your meal plan. So I'm glad you said that because 3 meals is like, it can definitely be done. Right. So, and we're going to talk for a second in like when we create like your actual Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but I think that's what you want to really get clear on is like, if you hate cooking or if you love cooking, or if you only like to cook when you have a lot of time, otherwise it's just such a chore, or if, you know what I mean? So think for a second on that, because when you think about your situation, like you are dictating it. So if you're creating it to be too much, then we need to like make it easier for you to actually eat the food. And this is a huge thing with where we are right now. And like be like you have to get yourself and your people to eat the healthy food. You don't always have to make it. And so if you can start to kind of like give up certain parts, not that you're going through McDonald's drive-through all the time, but there's other options to be like, I still got dinner on the table and I didn't make all the parts of it, whether you outsourced it, whether you are changing up what you're making. And we'll get to that part too with like the actual recipes, but thinking about like what's reasonable for you. And I think cooking 3 nights a week is solidly reasonable. So if you cook Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then you cook on Sunday, maybe, so that would actually be 4.
Yeah.
But then, then if you almost change your thinking about it, that can be the piece that makes the whole thing easier. Cause you're like, no, I cooked 4 times this week. One of the nights we're going to do this, and one of the nights we're going to do this, and we're out or whatever. And then you just feel successful at it. Right. Because
Right.
that is actually pretty successful. So yeah. So just take a second to think like, how much do you want to cook? And if you hate it, then we need to look at other options. Or if it's like, you really don't have time for it, totally just getting clear about that is going to make the whole thing so much easier. Cause you're like, oh yeah, no wonder this feels so challenging. It's like, I don't like it, or I don't have time for it. Not to say it doesn't have to get done, but so yeah. So thinking about that is going to be really important. And then exactly this, considering leftovers. And Gina and I were talking about this because she said that her husband does not eat leftovers. So this is a huge part of the plan, right? And this little guy, I don't know if you can see him. He's like, what happens when you don't prepare your meals, right? But thinking about like, are leftovers a part of your plan or not? So you can share, like, Gina, they're not a part of your husband's plan, right?
No, I'm the only one that eats leftovers.
Oh my gosh, he's so spoiled. Maybe we can break him in.
Right. Yes. I'd love to.
I know, right? That's so good. But that's actually really huge to know too, because then you end up, like you said, you end up like cooking too much and eating the same foods and feeling bad, throwing it away and wasting it and like all of that. So that's really tricky. Yeah. Does anyone else, like Trina, you do leftovers? We definitely do leftovers at our house. Yeah. Martha, you do leftovers? Yeah, for sure. Heather, you guys do leftovers?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Oh, good. And Lori, she raised her hand. Yes. Hi, Lori.
Hey, Allie. One thing I was going to say, kind of, I mean, to the leftovers, but also to what the works, or maybe some suggestions from you would be spice level. Like when I'm cooking for like Craig and I, or, you know, we love things that are really spicy. So I like to make meals that we both like, but our kids don't care for that. So it's a matter of then do I just cook an adult dinner and then do kid fare, or do you try to plan things that everyone will eat? You know, I mean, we've done like some spiciness on the side, that kind of thing, but how much of it do you let like the kids dictate like the meals that they, you know, are happy with, or that everyone can agree to, versus being kind of the short order cook for, you know, the kids and then making an adult meal. So that's one thing that I find is challenging with kids and adults, like picking out something that everyone still really likes.
Totally. Yes, yes, yes. I know. I think that's so huge too. And yeah, I think like that's something to consider with all of it, because you're not going to win. You're not going to win with like everyone being happy all the time, you know? So it's almost like, which meals do you pick that you're going to create? And it's like 2 of the meals you're going to make family friendly. And then one night it's like kids' choice and you guys make something different where it's like chicken nuggets, or, you know what I mean? So I think that actually could play into your overall plan, right? And we're going to talk about that in 1 second, but like where you start to choose like, okay, these 2 nights I want to like build the whole, try everything on your plate, like that kind of thing, and kind of almost like fight that battle and then move away from it to be like, okay, I cannot fight that battle for every single meal, nor do I want to, because we want different things and whatnot. So I think that will be a part of like the balance of what you want to write out for your formula. Does that make sense? Thank you.
Yeah, no, that totally does.
Yeah. Yeah. And the same with spice too. Cause like, and we'll talk about that, but like keeping everything kind of separate and then mixing it together, I feel like is the easiest for a big family because of that reason alone. Like someone doesn't like that and that and that. And yes, you can like force it, but I mean, it's almost not worth it by the end of the night when everyone's tired and you're just like, oh my gosh, freaking eat your food, right? Like I don't want to battle this. And I also made a really good dinner, so I want you to enjoy it. So that I think is another piece, is like being able to add your own. And so that we'll talk about like as a way. But when it comes to things to consider, yeah, leftovers are going to be huge. And we're going to get the next slide to like writing that out. And then scheduling the time, like actually putting it in your calendar with the color that is you. So your workouts are in your color and your appointments are in your color, and anything that's for you or for your family, because this isn't just for you, except you're the one doing it. But this goes into your calendar at whatever time. So if you are a weekend person or a Sunday person, or you want to plan it like Friday for the next week, so you don't have to think about it on the weekend, you can just like take action. But putting it down 20 minutes, even if you need a reminder, because it's almost one of those things that it's like so inundated into our life that we like expect ourselves to just like do it whenever, but it actually takes a second. So once we have this formula that we're going to write out right now, hopefully you can just know exactly what you need, like these 3 things, and then you can run with it. But considering like scheduling that time to plan it on there. So thinking real quick, and then I want you to get out to writing, but or what are your dinner goals? So like what is most important for you, for your family? Is it overall healthy food? And Lori, like to your point, like is it overall that everyone eats it? Is that like a big huge goal? Is it a huge goal that you have leftovers so you can like have them for lunches and you can have them for later in the week? Is it a huge goal that you're fitting your body needs, like you're trying to, you know, lose weight, or you're trying to gain muscle, or you're trying to, someone in your family, I know I have a lot of clients who's like son is trying to gain weight and they're trying to like maintain their weight, and or is it a priority that it's done ahead, like it needs to be done early? It cannot be something that you start at 5:30, that just doesn't work. So thinking for 1 second, and it could be a variety of these things, but like what is most important, because there's definitely some of these on here that are not going to be most important for you, or that you can kind of like think about different days, the different priorities. So you might have a day that you're like, okay, I need this day to be done ahead, and this, I need this day to be, all of them I want to be healthy, but I need, you know, this day to have leftovers and whatnot. So just kind of tuning into the goal of your dinner, because I think this can help cut down on the overwhelm. And when it comes to like searching, this is what you will use as a filter for looking through recipes. So if you're scrolling Instagram and you're seeing these recipes pop up and it's like, oh, I should do that and that and that, and it's like, that's not going to be easy. That's not going to be kid friendly. That's not going to be fitting my health goals. So you can start to use whatever goals you're picking, and your goals are for right now, right? I think like it's important to recognize that if you have this workshop for yourself every season, when sports change, when the weather changes, when life changes, you're not, this is not your forever meal plan. This is your meal plan for the season. And you're going to take all of these same pieces and all the things that you're working through on your paper and like in the PDF, and you can like redo it when the seasons change, or when your kid gets a little older, or when the sports change, or whenever kind of things in your life change. So for right now, you're going to really use this as a filter, and that's going to help you to figure out like if it is worth any of your attention looking at, or if it's like, that is not, that does not make sense for me right now. You know what I mean? So writing down those goals and then laying out your typical week. So I want you to write down like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I mean, Saturday, Sunday, you can put on there if you want. Actually, yeah, because I like to cook Sunday, but write down like what is typical for you right now. So you might know that you work late on certain nights. You might know that you have practices on certain nights. You might know that you're traveling on certain nights. Write out what a typical week looks like. And the reason I want you, like, oftentimes what trips us up from this whole process is we're looking for this perfect plan that's going to work forever, but that is just not possible. We want to build the habit of the meal planning for now. And then the meal planning becomes easy because it's like you can get over the perfectionism, you can get over the overthinking, and you can get into the action taking and just making it less of a big deal. So then you can apply it to the next season, right? Instead of thinking like, well, that's not going to work when this changes in a month. It's like, just worry about right now, because then the formula can adjust and change. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you can write them all down if you want, but list out what kind of happens in your world right now. So then you know what kind of meal you're looking for those nights. Okay, so then you're going to create, what I want you to leave with isn't like an actual formula kind of. So you have this idea. This is just a total example, but like at our house, it's like I like to make extra on Monday and I like to make tons of vegetables on Monday so I can use them all week. And so I make sure that I'm making something that's going to be a good leftover for us for lunches, for another dinner, whatever. And so Monday I cook. And then Tuesday, and we'll talk about like all these different pieces that we can plug in to make it more interesting, less boredom, all that kind of stuff. But like Tuesday is a theme night. So Taco Tuesday, I mean, you could do that every single week at my house, but you can also do any theme night. So you would change that up. And I have a ton of actual ideas that I'm going to give you guys in a second. But when you think of Monday being like a bulk cooking night that you're going to then take the food and use it for other meals, then you start to think like, okay, there's a lot of foods that work well for that and a lot of foods that don't. So Monday is that, Tuesday is a theme night, Wednesday is like an Instapot night. And then Thursday, Brady's gone, the kids are just here. Like that's lots of times the egg sandwiches or leftovers or breakfast for dinner or something like that. And then Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday I cook too, so that we have different stuff. But I want you to think of like almost like a plug-in. You're going to just plug in a couple things and then you're going to figure out how to make that work. So if you were to write out what that would look like for you, you could, first of all, I want you to think about like, what are your go-tos that you're already sick of right now? And just make like one big massive list. And you can do this for later and come back to it. But if you ask like your family, like, what are some of your favorite dinners? Then I think that you should definitely poll them and get them to give you some ideas. I have a client who we were kind of doing the same process, and she asked her kids what like some of their favorite dinners were. And they were like, oh my gosh, we love chicken Parmesan. And she's like, I've never made chicken Parmesan. And they're like, oh yeah, we had it at our friend's house. We love it. It's like their favorite. And she was like laughing like, oh my gosh, but that's such an easy dinner. Like I could totally do that. And she had just been in her own head with like, they like these 4 things. These are the 4 things that we eat. I'm just going to keep using these 4 things. And so putting some responsibility on them to like think of an idea or tell you what they like, and kind of keep this as a master list on your fridge or on your desk or on somewhere that you can start to like build the habit of asking like, okay, who has an idea for dinner? Who has an idea for dinner? And then you're just building this list to get yourself out of the rut, because oftentimes like when we don't talk about it and we just take all the responsibility and we're just like, I'm going to get this done, so I'm just going to like head down and do it, then we just keep repeating the same things, right? So building this out and telling them like you want some ideas from them is going to be helpful. And then you always have things that you can go to that you know that they'll like. So keeping that kind of there. Then I want you to think of all of these different things as, and this is what I have like resources for, as the things to plug in. So if you have your week and you know that you want to cook, say 3 nights, then to simplify things, you're like, okay, every Tuesday is going to be a theme night. So all I need to do is think, do I want Greek, Indian, Thai, Asian? And I can start to zero in what I'm looking for and change it up, right? So if you're looking for a theme night and you can think of literally any place in the world and you can Google easy, healthy Indian food or Instapot, whatever that's going to fit, then you can start to get out of your rut, but you can still meet your goals, right? Or if you say like, make ahead Italian or make ahead Thai food. And so you can like specifically take the thing that you're looking for and plug it in. And then you're just like, all of a sudden, all you're doing is looking for one recipe that's a different theme. And if you use words like easy, Whole30 is like, you know, of course it's the diet, which I don't necessarily believe in the diet. I definitely believe in the way of eating. And then of course, adding in the things that you want. So anytime I look for a recipe, I always search Whole30, easy Whole30, because you know that it's going to be a really clean recipe. You can always add to it. You can always add pasta. You can always add, you know, anything else that you want to it that's not necessarily Whole30, but the recipe itself will be like simple and will be whole food based, right? So that can be a huge thing. Especially in the winter, you could have every Wednesday be soup night and just keep it so simple and be like, I just need one soup recipe. So tonight we're going to do chicken noodle. That's easy. The next week we're going to do chili. Okay, those are kind of simple. I'm going to do like the kale sausage, white bean soup. I know Martha makes that. It's so good. But that could be something that you like see on Pinterest that you like think, oh, I'm going to try that. So that can be something that's kind of fun. It's cozy and cold, and you're just picking one different soup each week to try. And then you're searching it with the words like easy, Whole30 soup. I'm going to pick one of those for Wednesdays, right? Or bowl night, like bowls we do all the time at our house. We do like rice on the bottom or couscous on the bottom or orzo on the bottom or quinoa on the bottom, and then some type of protein, and then some type of vegetable, and then some type of sauce. And I have this in like the PDF that I'll send you, but basically anything can become a bowl night. And if you break it down to be that simple, you just think like, I need greens or grains on the bottom. I need some type of protein, could be like a ground turkey, ground chicken, could be shrimp, could literally be anything. And if you search like easy bowls, or Buddha bowls, then you will get hundreds of thousands of recipes, which that can be so great if you know that like on Tuesdays, you're going to do bowl nights once a week, and you're just going to do like a Southwest one and then change it up to do like sweet potatoes and kale and black beans. And then the next week you're going to do a peanut spicy Thai, right? So you're making the plan so simple, but then you're making it customizable to pick something that fits each time. The other thing to do is bar night. So you could do like baked potato bar, you could do nacho bar, you could do salad bar, you could do a sandwich bar or like a pizza bar, or basically creating anything like a pasta bar, creating anything to be in bar form. And Lori, this could be really helpful when you're feeding kids because you're basically creating one meal. It does make a lot of bowls, which I do talk about, but it makes it so simple because everyone can pick something that they like and there's no complaints, right? Like someone can fill their bowl full of rice on the bottom, or their bar or whatever, their pasta, or you could do zoodles if you wanted to do low carb and someone else wanted noodles, and you could do like a spicy sauce and a regular sauce or whatever. So you can kind of make it one meal, and then that works awesome for leftovers. That I don't know if we could trick your husband, Gina, if like you like gave him a different form, like you did pita sandwiches one day and then you did salads the next day, but that could be you could give that a try, right? So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, simplifying it to be like, okay, we're going to do bar night and I'm just going to pick a different bar. And all of those things are pretty basic. Like if you do baked potatoes, then you have bacon and broccoli and whatever. So, and then kids' choice, right? So that you're just taking the pressure completely off yourself. You know that everyone will eat it and you'll just make sure that you'll find something that you like or modify it to fit your own goals. So these are just to kind of keep it interesting, but looking over your own week and then picking like the 3-ish days that you're going to cook, and then just committing to like right now, like I'm going to do a theme night once a week. I'm just going to try this out for a month, and then don't think about it again, right? So create this little plan and don't think about it again. So then you're going to go through and you're going to figure out what you need. And so at the end of this plan, when you look over, you should only need like, if you want a new recipe, you're looking for like one new recipe. You're looking for the bowl night, right? Or you're looking for the soup, or you're looking for, and so you can start to like, you don't want to get into that place of like, oh, we're trying something new. Let's do everything different. And now it's overwhelming. And now we don't want to do it anymore. And let's just go back to what we used to do. You want to find that middle ground where you're like, okay, let's take some of these family favorites that we know people eat, that I know I can make easily, keep them going as we start to build in this change to kind of spice it up a little bit and to make it easier, because that's going to be sustainable. Otherwise, you find yourself like changing everything, feeling like you're getting resistance from your family, and then feeling like this isn't working and like you don't want to do that. And so forget it, right? So writing down exactly what you need to make this happen. And that can include takeout, that can include, making sure that when you're doing takeout, you actually put it on your menu and like you own it and you just celebrate it. Like, I am not cooking dinner tonight. And like, I'm so happy about it. Not like, oh my gosh, I'm not cooking. I should have done this. Like, we have this thing in the fridge. Like, we should have used it. We should have ate it. Like, that whole thing is so exhausting and draining. And it really takes away from the whole point of the meal plan, right? And the whole point of feeling good about what you're doing. So I think that a couple questions that come up a lot, and then I want to turn this off, and so that we can chat through like what you came up with. And I want to hear like what questions you have and what obstacles you have or how you feel about it. But lots of bowls for all the goals. So this is like an easy thing to remember, but the more bowls, the more you can reach and like support everyone's goals. Because if you do like the bar type idea, like it does take more work, but it does make it so simple to have someone who's trying to gain weight, like you have a high school kid or a boy or a whoever that's doing what, and they like want a ton of cheese or something, and you're trying not to eat a ton of cheese. And it's like, so putting everything in separate bowls is going to be helpful for everyone's different goals. If you have no time, then you hear yourself say, I have no time. And that is such a common thing. It's true. It's a real thing. It's not like it's made up in your head. You literally don't have time, right? So what can you do to get one step ahead of the game? And like, if you don't have an Instapot, I mean, I should work for Instapot and Instacart, both of those, because I fully support them. But if you don't have time, an Instapot is huge because you don't have to think so far ahead to get something in the crock pot in the morning. You can put it in the crock pot at 4 o'clock, like I did corned beef the other night, and it's ready in like 45 minutes. And it is like it cooked all day long, right? So Instapot is huge. Outsourcing is huge. So you're going to eliminate as many barriers as possible for you making dinner. So if you have no time and you're not using Instacart, then we should have a private conversation, because having your groceries delivered to your door where all you have to do is like put them in there just makes it easy and makes it happen. So how can we outsource just like little bits to make it so much easier for you? And then one step forward. So this, I love to take one step forward in the morning. It's like my favorite time to get dinner ready. And the morning can be kind of crazy, but if you think ahead a little bit, like you're trying to connect in the morning, you're trying to like get everything's kind of chaotic. Everyone's trying to get ready, but you also want to be there when people are around, right? So like chopping up a vegetable while you're standing at the counter, like doing the morning thing can be so helpful, even if you just throw it in a Ziploc bag, because then you're one step closer. Or throwing something in marinade takes 2 minutes. And if you do that in the morning, it's so helpful because you're one step closer. And then you get home in the end of the night, you're like, oh yeah, that's marinated. I'm ready to go. And then same thing with Enlist help. Like if you have a plan, someone can help you. If you don't have a plan, no one can help you because it's all in your head. And so no one can be in your head. So I think that's one of the biggest things too about the plan, to be able to say like, hey, this is what we're having for dinner. Can you turn this on? Can you get that out? Can you cut that up? Can you do this one little piece that's going to help the whole system and the whole plan? And then as far as the mindset goes, really planning that it's not going to work because the more you think like, oh my gosh, I have the perfect plan, it's going to work, like recognizing and knowing that you need a plan B. So you need to be able to like pull out some frozen green beans, some frozen brown rice, and some chicken nuggets and be like, this is protein, vegetables, and carbs, and it's good. Put some soyaki on it and like, we're good to go. Have egg sandwiches, like have a plan B and be ready for that. So you're not thinking like, I have this perfect plan and it might not happen. Okay, we have like 1 or 2 more. And then this stuff is all going to be in the PDF, but basically rotisserie chicken can be your best friend and you can do so much with it, especially if you have no time, or if you want to just like add it in and give yourself a break. With a bag of coleslaw, cilantro, Asian dressing, you can have like super fun Asian bowls or salads, buffalo wraps, white bean soup, like a chicken, white bean soup. Broccoli slaw is like my favorite to roast, to saute, mix it with like peanuts and peanut dressing and rotisserie chicken, quesadilla night with rotisserie chicken. And then of course, like a chicken salad with like, you could do like a Cobb chicken salad or like a chicken mayo grape nut salad. And same goes for takeout, just kind of like owning the takeout, like I was talking about, and making it like takeout does not just mean McDonald's, which I think we've all like gotten knows, but at the same time being like, where do you guys want to get takeout from that would be different? And like, how can I make it fit my health goals so I don't feel bad about it and it doesn't throw me off completely and make me like just kind of throw away the night, right? So it feels like actually a success and a treat and something that helps you, not like hurts you. And then this is it, but thinking about your default plate of whatever it is, like even if you're talking, Trina, that you are throwing things together, it's like if you have a lot of veggies in your plate and you have a protein and you have fat and carbs, then it's like that can be dinner for a night, right? So letting that go and recognizing that like sometimes you just want it to be able to be like fulfilling and nutritious and yummy, but not necessarily planned out perfectly. And then with all that, it's like be intentional and choosy and picky about that. And this is really coming down to like eating the leftovers. So you don't have to settle for like leftover mac and cheese or something, right? You can have so many other options that you're able to grab that then allow you to keep moving forward with how you want to feel and how you want to show up. Because I think dinner is just like such a huge piece of the rest of the night, helping you be the mom you want to be, helping you feel good in your body and go to bed without feeling like guilty and like all that whole deal. So that was a lot of me talking at you, but I want to hear, if you guys have a second, how like what is coming up for you, what questions you have, if you want to share your plan, if you want to share your meal plan, then I'd love that. Yes. Wait, did you raise your hand? Did anyone want to share, or does anyone have any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So with your bowls and you add a sauce, because I love to do that at my house too, because everyone else wants pasta or rice and I'll have something else with mine or extra spinach or things like that. But I'm always very intimidated by the sauces and like especially homemade sauces. So what would you recommend, either easy sauces or easy brands or something like that, that we could throw? Because if I'm like, oh geez, now I have to figure out this homemade sauce, then it throws me.
To make the homemade sauce you're talking about?
Yeah. Or just like sometimes it's like an ingredient I don't have, or you're trying to make it interesting and then you're like, oh, forget it.
Yes. So I mean, do you do Trader
Like to your
Joe's?
Buddha bowl and stuff.
Yeah. Like, do you do Trader Joe's?
Sometimes.
Yeah. So I think they have a lot. I mean, everyone has good sauces. Tiki masala is a good sauce. They have that at Aldi, and Trader Joe's has like an Indian curry masala, like a simmer sauce. That's a really good one. They have a Thai one too at Trader Joe's. They don't have that at Aldi. I think Heinen's has like a variation of all of these. So kind of walking through, like a soyaki is always a good one. Tahini, do you ever do tahini mixed with soyaki?
I've never done that.
Yeah, just like tahini mixed with soyaki can be like a really good, like it's so much creamier and thicker than, I mean, soyaki is obviously like watery soy sauce, but that can be a super yummy one. And then you could do like the ranches or those type of, you know, if you're like, my kids love ranch, and yeah, so like that, I mean, I don't love it, but that could be something. Or you could do your own, like a sour cream in a packet and kind of water it down with like a milk, or to make it like a dressing more so. Yeah. Spicy peanut dressing at Trader Joe's is like drinkable if you like peanut. So good. Yeah. I love to try things. So I just buy random sauces, and then I just see, like, my Kate likes a honey mustard, and like that ginger dressing that they have it, like they have it at Heinen's in the fresh section, but it has like, it's like what you get at Hibachi, you know, it's like all the ginger. So we always have that one. And then I kind of like to let everyone just choose, right? Like, what sauce do you want in your bowl? Because that's another thing. Like, we don't all, like Ella, my youngest, will always pick ranch, right? And then everyone else will kind of like try different things at this point. So that could be another way to just make it easier on yourself, to be like, here's 3 choices, and buy them, and just, then you don't have to make them at all.
See what happens.
And everyone doesn't have to agree. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That.
Give that a try. Awesome. How did how does it feel? Does it simplify things, or do you feel like having like a little formula to be like, okay, I just need to look for these 2 or 3 things? Does that feel helpful?
Yes.
Yeah, you definitely gave some ideas. Like, I forgot about theme night. The kids used to have that all the time when they were little.
Yes.
I can still do that even though they're 16 and 15. So.
Yeah. Because it's just like, from a cooking perspective, it just gives you something to like focus on, where if you start to search ideas, it's just so endless, right? And then you're like, I don't even know what I'm looking for. I don't know who's in the mood for what. But yeah, so that's, I think, the biggest thing with this is like, you want to almost like corral your brain to be like, just look for these couple things. That's how you can make it easier. Otherwise, it's so endless. And then when it's endless, then it's like nothing just doesn't exist, because it's like, well, that's just too overwhelming. I'm just not going to do that.
Right. And I'll ask my family too now, because I've never asked them. I just
yes.
Ideas.
Yeah. Asking them, I think, is helpful too, because then you either get confirmation on some things and you get some new ideas, or you're like, oh no, I'm not making that. Like,
Right.
I'm not making that. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I always wait till like the day of to ask them, like, oh, what do you guys want for dinner? And then everybody's like, I don't know. So if I ask them beforehand, like, what are your favorite dinners? Then I can just keep that in mind and
Exactly.
go from there. But I know one of my biggest struggles is like, my older son is like a cheeseburger, like he loves meat and chicken, like he'll eat anything like that. And then my younger son's like a pasta only, like he doesn't like meat at all. He loves vegetables, but he doesn't like rice. So it's like, oh my gosh. So when you said to use like couscous or even orzo, which are more pasta, you know, than the rice, so he'll be on board with something like that instead.
Yeah, good.
Make
I
my
love
life
that.
easier.
Yeah, and just like keep changing it up. I know my youngest is so hard right now, and I feel like she should be growing out of it. But so we're like making her just like try a bite of everything, you know, because she's just like in a rut. She'll only eat whatever, 3 things or something. And so yeah, but I think that's huge too, to like keep changing it up, because then they're like, I don't like this, and you're like, this is different. Then you're like, this is different. This is different. It's just a
Or
little
like
different, but feels different.
make like a cheeseburger salad,
Yes.
because my younger son loves salad.
I
He
love
won't put the like the ground beef on it, but he'll eat like lots of cheese on it and vegetables and stuff like that. And then I'll just kind of take part of the meat and make a cheeseburger,
Yeah.
because I know my older son's not really a big, like he'll eat salad, but he would prefer to not pick the salad. So it like kind of meets in the middle and doesn't make me have to cook 2 different meals or 3 different meals. So
That's perfect. I think that's huge, because like if you think of it too, like you said, exactly, you're cooking once, and then in your mind you're like, how can I like give this to them just a little differently so everyone's happy, and you're not like, if they don't like it the one way it is, then the whole dinner's not gonna work out, you know? Yeah, that's huge. That's so good. Yeah. Awesome. Good. I'm so glad, because I think, yeah, then getting that list going. And one thing that you can do, and this is helpful, is like whenever we're in the car or something, I'll be like, give me one idea for dinner next week. And usually they don't all have an idea. So then I'll like be like, okay, somebody give me one idea. And then it's like they have a little ownership. So you know that they'll eat it too, which is helpful. And then they're kind of like, if you're in the car, they're kind of like, they're not doing anything else. So that's a good place to be like, give me one idea, right? And it's very non-threatening. It's not like, what should we have for dinner? Because I found myself being like, what should we have for dinner? And that's just like so draggy that they're like, I don't know, you know, like you figured out.
yeah, and nobody can agree either.
Nobody,
so
yes.
then it's like you just
Yeah.
get frustrated and say like, fine, have cereal.
Yes. And I'm always like, give me one idea for dinner, because then I don't have to take it. Because Brady will say something, and I'm like, no, we're not doing that.
No.
I just said
you
give me
asked
one idea.
me.
Exactly. And yeah. So that can be helpful to get them involved too, and just make you feel like you're not just like doing it all on your own, you know? Yeah. Just huge.
For sure.
Good. Okay. So what else? Any other questions that you guys have? Was like the framework thing, I think, is the habit that I want you to start to think about. And it might not be that easy, like right away, but if you start to play with it and you're just like, okay, how can I just let this be simple, and just like pick that it's going to be soup night, or pick that it's going to be bowl night, and then just like plug it in and just like no more thinking about it, and start to do that for like 2 weeks and then see how it goes. And I'm going to send you a PDF that I just wrote out, like probably 8 different 5-ingredient meals. And those are the meals that like I'm always posting about. So it's like green beans and ground turkey and soyaki and, you know, roasted carrots in a bowl or whatever. And then 5 things to do with ground turkey, 5 things to do, just to kind of like change up your thinking and almost be like, oh, I'm just going to do that one. And then a bunch of different things on bowls and things to do with rotisserie chicken. So I just have a PDF of a bunch of different ideas, all the theme nights that I just randomly mentioned, I wrote out, just so you can be like, oh yeah, I forgot my kids do like Indian, or they love Mexican, or taco night, or, you know, whatever it is that just kind of slipped out of your, or like Chinese, you know, or sushi night or whatever. slipped out of your thinking, to kind of change it up and then energize it. And then I want you to really think about the belief that you made at the beginning of the workshop, and like really starting to believe that. And one thing I do all the time with clients and like with myself is I start to think about, or like change the belief that you have about whatever, and it makes it so much easier. So if you go back to that beginning statement that you said, and you're like, okay, dinner can be easy. It is possible to get a healthy dinner on the table. We can, make this happen. I am successful at this. This doesn't have to be so hard, blah, 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 blah. And then really start to believe it. And you might not at the beginning. So like start to like catch yourself if you're like, oh my gosh, I can't do this or whatever, and change your thinking on it to just make it feel easier, because the way that your thoughts go create the feeling. So if you have the feeling that dinner is like not possible, it creates the energy of like stuckness or like not possible. And then the action is like, well, it's not possible, so why am I going to try? Right. Or if you have the thought that like, this is easy, then you're like, okay, what is easy? Oh yeah, frozen green beans are easy. Like your action is like, this is easy. That's like energizing or motivating. So if you continue to focus on the thought you have about meal planning, it's going to make the whole thing change its tone, which is then going to prove to be true. Like it's going to feel easier for you. So I think that is actually something that's really important, as you like every day, you're just like, okay, this is easy. I can do this. Like make it less of a deal. And then reach out if you have any questions, if you need any support, and I'll send you the PDF that has all of the questions that we just walked through on the slide that you can like think about more on your own. And then it also has like all those just recipe ideas and meal planning ideas. So do you guys have any questions or anything else? Do you want to chat anymore before we go?
Thank you. I'm excited about your deliverable, like even just bowls. I never even do bowls.
Yeah. Bowls. I do bowls and think of you every single time. So funny.
I do one kind of bowl then. I only do one kind.
One bowl. You could change up your bowl.
Yeah.
That's so true. Yeah. Bowls. Yeah. Bowls. Yes. Yes. I love the bowls. I know. And they've morphed to like, Kate thinks like, Kate has like cucumber. She has like a bowl that's her favorite. That's like flank steak, which she calls brown chicken. And then it's cucumbers and cheese and rice. And I'm like, okay, it's like an Asian flank steak with cucumbers. And I mean, it's just like grown out of like, take what you want, and then she just adds cheese to it. So like, all right. But yeah, so good. Okay, good. I'm so glad. Anything else? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Allie.
Here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks, Allie.
Okay,
Thank
I will
you.
follow up with you. I'll send you that. You'll get the recording of this if you have any interest in watching that. And then I will send you the PDF today. And if you have any questions, then let me know.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Guys,
Bye.
good to see you. Stay warm and have a good day. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Allie. You too.
Bye.
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 Bye.